All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. I feel like it's a good time for a Rico report, man. We have a lot of things to break down. As like you saw in the title and the thumbnail, we have 4 major overall topics. A lot of them are coming from the past couple of days of practices that we've had, and I feel like it's time to catch all of y'all up on everything that's happened the past few days, even though media hasn't had a lot of access. But we've gotten some clues and insight and a few clips as well that I'm going to show y'all on a few interesting things. First of all, the Washington Commanders reportedly had scouts at the Texas versus Ohio State game. We're going to dive into some of the top draft prospects that we may want to look at from that game. And then we move on to Jayden Daniels throwing the ball to Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. I have clips of those that I'm going to show y'all. We're going to break down some things. And also with those clips, we're going to see Terry McLaurin working on a new skill that's going to be huge in making him produce more touchdowns for the Commanders this season. I wish he had this skill last year. Also, all signs are pointing to the Commanders liking Jaylin more than they ever liked Luke McCaffrey. And I like Luke McCaffrey. I'm not trying to put him down, but I got to show y'all what's going on around here, man. It's Terry, it's Jayden Daniels, and it's Cliff Kingsbury, man. There is a stark difference between how they talk about and treat Jaylin in comparison to Luke McCaffrey. We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get a notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. Technically, the Commanders, we're about to get a lot less news from them over the course of like the next week, except for like maybe Tuesday we will end up signing Kendrick Bourne as a wide receiver, and I'll do a full breakdown on that. But other than that, it's not going to be any major news coming from the Commander side. I just have a lot of topics and different things, windows, tabs that I want to get into. That like this period of not as much going on is going to allow me to catch up on a lot of the video ideas that I've had. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm gonna still be hitting y'all with content even if the Commanders side of things is pretty dull. And hey man, go Dogs, let's get it. Adam. Also, I have a few donations that I gotta shout out as well, man. Really appreciate all of the donations that I've gotten recently. Like, first of all, my boy, Hey Scotty, man. First of all, appreciate you pulling up to the in-person Commanders Kings live stream last week. That was amazing in the first place. Then you went and also donated $20 just earlier this morning. No reason, just wanted to support the channel, didn't even have anything to say. That is so much love. Then also shouts out to my boy Jack Miller. A few days ago, he donated as well and said for Parsons going to Green Bay, shouts out to the rebuild for Dallas. Appreciate that donation to the Cash App. And then also I have a donation from an Adam St. John from way long ago that I'm just now seeing from a long time ago to the PayPal. Really appreciate that. I gotta look at the PayPal more often, man. That's a big time donation there too, man. So I apologize for being so late, and I really appreciate that donation. Appreciate the donations from everybody, man, because I mean, for y'all to just donate just off the strength, I'm not even live streaming. You won't even get your comment necessarily read live at the time to be thanked live as soon as you did it. You just did it off of the strength. I feel like the least I could do is thank you in my very next video after I see the fact that you donated. So man, I really appreciate y'all. All right, so shouts out to my boy Ken Johannesson at Burgundy Burner. He's like one of the go-to guys for this type of stuff. Like when he says it, I believe it. Washington apparently had a few scouts at today's Texas versus Ohio State game. And hey, shouts out to Ohio State, man. Arch Manning doesn't look ready. I mean, maybe Georgia dodged the bullet there because we were his top two tables between Georgia and Texas. It looked like it was going to be Georgia for a while, then it ended up being Texas. Hey, man, things work out the way that they do for a reason. I'm not saying he's going to end up being a dud, period, but he definitely doesn't look ready yet, I'll tell you that. But again, we had scouts at the game, and even though I feel like this is very obvious, I feel like this is still a fun thing to dive into. Like, of course, we had scouts. I'm pretty sure every team in the NFL had scouts at one of the most important games of the entire season. So, of course, we were there. But I still feel like this is a fun exercise to dive into some of the top prospects, like starting with Ohio State. Of course, Caleb Downs, another guy that Georgia was really close to having twice. but he's arguably the best player of this entire draft class at safety. They don't make safeties like this, dog. So, and he born and raised Georgia, all of that type of stuff. And I'm just letting you know right now, man, that's a future Pro Bowler right there. No matter how many times he's done Georgia bad, I'm never going to hold a grudge against somebody to the point that, like, I'm not going to be objective. That guy is different, bro. Caleb Downs. But I'm already telling you right now, we're not getting him. As a Commanders fan, you're not getting him. He's too talented. We're not picking anywhere near high enough. We're going for a Super Bowl this year. We're not even going to come close to a talent like him. But you do have Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. Maybe he makes it to the end of the first round. You have Max Clare, the tight end from Ohio State. We'll see. Sony Styles is projected to go in like maybe the third round. We could look at him as maybe like a linebacker option later on. You have Davison Igbonason. Maybe he slides to like the 4th or 5th round. Same thing with cornerback Jermaine Matthews Jr. Those are a pair of corners right there that maybe the Commanders can have a shot at in like one of the later rounds. And then you also have Malik Hartford. That's a pretty talented safety over there. There's a few guys out there on the Ohio State team. Of course, we'll know a lot more as the season goes on because a lot of these guys are first-time starters waiting their turn. We'll see what happens. They could probably vastly increase their draft stocks. Maybe their draft stocks plummet. You never know. Then, of course, on the Texas side, we're not looking for a quarterback, so it's no point of even diving into Arch Manning and whether he actually even deserves to be considered one of the top draft prospects. I've already told y'all I believe he'll end up staying another year. In that first game against Ohio State, definitely looked like, yeah, he may need to stay another year. But again, there's a long season. Maybe he'll get better. Then Anthony Hill Jr. at linebacker, that's a first rounder, along with Malik Muhammad at a corner. That's another first rounder. I think they're too talented to end up making it to our picks. But again, there's a lot of football to be played and scouting to be done from now till late April 2026. But who knows? And then Michael Taffy, the safety, he's probably like a 2nd or 3rd rounder. He's talented. DeAndre Moore, the wide receiver from Texas, he's talented as well. Their tight end, Jack Indries, pretty good as well. Their running back, CJ Baxter, and also another running back in Quintravion Wisner. That's another guy that we may want to look at. If you want to look at guard, offensive line help, maybe DJ Campbell. You know, there's a few names over there. There's some talent that they have that, hey, definitely keep these guys in mind. You know, that's some talent, but that's why scouts go to games like that, because you're not only there to scout one team, you're there to scout both, because both teams have some serious talent. Just some names to throw out there for you to keep track of. You know me, man. I love the draft. That's my thing. So I'm gonna definitely have y'all, updated on, where these guys are along their college football journeys on the way to the draft and stuff like that. Especially, again, I'm predicting us to go to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. So I'm not expecting to really get in the mock drafts like that for real until like February. But who knows, man? We'll see what happens. Now, moving on to the practice clips and updates from the last few days. And we're going to break this up into several sections. Well, first of all, I want to talk about Terry McLaurin, because this was his second practice ever back on August 28th with the Washington Commanders since he finally got his contract. And here's a clip of him running around, running routes and things like that. I just feel like y'all will want to see this because I wanted to see this. I know he's not necessarily doing anything special, but it's still Terry McLaurin running routes. Post-contract extension. And I like the fact that they have him so close to Jaylen Lane. We're going to talk about that later, but you just see Jaylen Lane attached to his hip with a lot of the drills that he's doing and things like that. And this receiver group is so loaded, bro. With Terry McLaurin signed, back, and happy, Noah Brown healthy, this wide receiver group is insane. And imagine if we end up signing Kendrick Bourne on Tuesday after he's done with his visit with the 49ers on Monday. Come on, bro. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's the talent that we can put out there at the receiver position, especially compared to last year, going from Olamide Zaccheaus and Jamison Crowder technically being your wide receivers 2 and 3 at a certain point in the season because Noah Brown stayed hurt. It was basically Terry McLaurin and friends for a lot of the season. So now you have Deebo Samuel that you traded for. You have Jaylen Lane, who you drafted. Luke McCaffrey's only getting better. Noah Brown, from what I've seen in clips, especially in that pregame warm-up against the Ravens before that Ravens preseason game just a few weeks ago, he looks like he's the best I've ever seen him, the quickest, the best route running. He's probably going to get open better than we've ever seen him, at least at any point last year with the Commanders. So Noah Brown is improved, and he's healthy. And then we'll see again what we'll get from Luke McCaffrey. I'm a huge believer in Deebo Samuel. We're going to talk about him very soon. And then we'll see if we end up signing Kendrick Bourne as like a 6th receiver to the depth chart. I'm not saying he would be the 6th best wide receiver, but he would be the 6th receiver added. We'll see. And then also you have this clip right here by Chad Ricardo of Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel on the field at the same time working on some things. And it's just a quick 15-second clip of these guys just going through some drills. And one thing I did notice in this clip is how much quicker Terry McLaurin looks doing the same exact thing than Deebo Samuel. And now, I mean, Terry McLaurin is the better route runner. Now, granted, they are running different routes, but I don't know. Terry's route did look a little bit crisper, but Deebo Samuel's route, hey, don't sleep. I told y'all, since he's come here this season, he looks like a far and improved pure wide receiver, nuanced as far as technical refinement, route running, having a release package, tracking the ball, hands, you know, all of the technical refinement type of stuff, all of the nuanced stuff. He seems to be better at that this year going into this Commander season than I ever saw at any season for him with the 49ers. Even his great 2021 season, he was more so just a great weapon. Now he looks like a refined receiver, but again, we'll talk about that soon again when we get to the Deebo Samuel part of this video. And then, of course, we're here and excited about a Jayden Daniels throw to Terry McLaurin. Now, there's rumors from Linnell Willingham. He's reporting. He went on Rio Robinson's channel and said that Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin have been throwing to each other and at least practicing and running routes against air with no DBs, nobody else, just Terry and Jayden alone in the bubble in secrecy this entire time, this entire offseason where he was holding out and holding in. That's what was going on behind the scenes. That's what's being reported. So maybe that's why their connection looks like nothing has really been lost. So shouts out to Jayden Daniels and Terry for keeping that connection going, even though Terry McLaurin wasn't able to practice with the team. And now you're seeing Terry McLaurin actually go up against defenders, and he's wide open. I mean, where is the defensive back anywhere in the screen at all on this play? Like, what happened here? Should we be worried about the defense, or should we just be excited that Terry McLaurin was that open? And then also, now this is the clip of the skill set where I'm like, man, thank goodness Terry McLaurin is working on this. We needed this bad last year, real bad. So this is Terry McLaurin getting some work in a clip uploaded by John Com, and Rio Robinson brought up a great point. Did someone teach 17 the sacred high step? And that is a great point, because we missed out on touchdowns, entire points, because Terry McLaurin had the inability to high step. At some point later on, trying to get a touchdown, you know, that one Jayden Daniels play against Cleveland where, I mean, he escapes so much pressure and makes an insane throw off the run. Terry McLaurin catches it and then gets shoestring tackled. He allowed that to happen so many times. And that Cleveland Browns one was so bad because, like, a play or two later, Jayden Daniels throws an interception. We don't get any points, not even a field goal. Terry McLaurin gets tackled at like the 2 or 3 yard line or something like that, and we walk away with no points from that drive because he didn't know how to high step. And we had been screaming at him and begging him all last season to please learn how to high step. I'm happy that somebody got in his ear and realized, hey man, add this to your game and it will go to another level. You're going to turn a lot of big yardage gain chunk plays, and you're going to turn all of those, a lot of those at least, into actual touchdowns, bro. So please and thank you. And then also you have this compilation of clips uploaded by NBC4 Sports. And while we're looking at these clips, shouts out to CMDERS on Twitter. Of course, that means Commanders, but he took out, you know, the first couple of vowels in it. But he says something that goes unnoticed is Terry McLaurin hasn't missed a single game in 4 years. This is something that I've brought up in multiple videos when talking about why Terry McLaurin deserves to get paid. But I like the fact that he brought up the exact amount of games. It's been 68 straight games that Terry McLaurin has played in for the Commanders. Now, not to say he hasn't been banged up. He's been hurt, but he's been out there and he's been productive and always a consistent threat no matter what. Like, he's never just out there being only a distraction, being useless, being a cone or something like that. He's always an effective player when he's on the field. Always. 68 straight games. That's as dependable as it gets. I mean, even a lot of the top wide receivers in the NFL, you know, they may be better on a per game basis. They may be more talented than Terry McLaurin, but arguably no receiver in the NFL is more dependable than Terry McLaurin, especially at this point, bro. So we're glad to have him. Now moving on to Deebo Samuel. And I love how Terry McLaurin was celebrating at the end of this clip with Deebo Samuel. You can already tell that they already have a strong bond, even though Terry McLaurin has only been there for 2 practices. But you can also tell that, of course, they've been bonding behind the scenes, off camera this entire time, even with Terry McLaurin not practicing in team drills. But we just looked at a clip of Jayden Daniels throwing the ball to Terry McLaurin. How about Jayden Daniels throwing the ball to Deebo Samuel? And this this one is amazing because it was great coverage. That was insane coverage. It was just a better ball, an insane ball by Jayden Daniels, and an even better catch arguably by Deebo Samuel. It's an argument between who had the better, was it a better throw by Jayden Daniels or a better catch by Deebo Samuel? Honestly, I may lean towards Jayden Daniels with the ball placement there, but again, that is good coverage. Like, poor Noah Igbenogany. I mean, you could argue maybe the coverage could have been better, but that was still really good coverage, bro. That's just the type of offense that we have at our disposal, though, where a defense can play well, but we could just outperform that defense. We don't have to wait for defenses to make mistakes. We'll force good plays upon them, so that was amazing. And then Deebo Samuel also went on a Grant and Danny show recently, like a couple of days ago, and said, quote, "We're going to score a lot of points," unquote. And he's dead serious about that. He means that, and I agree. We already were close to scoring 30 points per game last year. We were a top 5 offense. I think we're going to be even better going into this year. So how many points per game is that? I'm super excited, man. The potential of this team is insane. And speaking of potential, how about how this entire team sees the potential in Jaylen Lane? And especially in comparison to a Luke McCaffrey. And I'm not trying to downplay him. It's just something that a few Commanders fans brought up. And I'm just going to show y'all what I'm talking about here. So on this clip right here, uploaded by Donna Hopkins, you have Terry McLaurin working with Jaylen Lane and kind of helping him out, showing him how to improve in certain situations. And you saw that Jaylen Lane did not make the catch there. Like, Jaylen Lane did something wrong. He ended up missing the ball. I like this drill too. Like, the receiver keeps the other receiver extremely distracted like a cornerback normally does. And then the wide receiver at the last second has to look up to try to track the ball. And Jaylen Lane wasn't able to do it. That's a part of his skill set as far as being a deep threat option for us. Because speed-wise, it's only outside of Terry McLaurin, Jaylen Lane is our only hope as an honest, like, consistent deep threat. As far as stretching the defense down the field, getting past the third level of the defense and stuff like that for big plays. But he has to learn how to track the ball like this. But I love the fact that in this tracking the ball drill, after he makes his mistake, you can see that Terry McLaurin kind of coached him up on something like, aha, see what I told you? And then you have this clip uploaded by Chick Hernandez right here, where he's also has Terry McLaurin teaching Jaylen Lane how to do some things. And Chick Hernandez said the veteran and the rookie class is in session. And you saw how the previous clip, Jaylen Lane, it didn't work out for him. And then you see in this clip, Terry McLaurin does the same drill and he easily mosses Jaylen Lane. So that's the difference. Some people are saying that maybe Jaylen Lane is Terry McLaurin 2.0, but you definitely need to hold the brakes on that a little bit, because there's a clear difference between the two right now. This is Terry McLaurin going into his third big contract. This is Jaylen Lane as a rookie. I see the potential, but hey, man, let Terry coach him up a little bit. And then also, of course, this led to some people like at the Boogeyman on Twitter saying Terry sees talent. Never seen him do this with Nevermind. Of course, he's alluding to Luke McCaffrey. Of course, that's who he's talking about. And I mean, maybe I'm forgetting something, but have we seen Terry take Luke McCaffrey under his wing like this? You got to remember, Luke McCaffrey was a higher draft pick than Jaylen Lane. Jaylen Lane was a 4th round draft pick this year. Luke McCaffrey was a 3rd round draft pick last year. Now, maybe there were some moments that I don't remember that were recorded, or maybe there were some moments that weren't recorded where Terry McLaurin took Luke McCaffrey under his wing last year. But I don't know, man. That's an interesting point to bring up. And then also, you have Burger Manders on Twitter who brought up this clip and said nobody's ever talked about LMC like this.
Jaylen Lane, I think, is a guy who's really going to have a chance to help us, not just in the return game, his dynamic ability, but you know, some people may think he's just in the slot. And to be honest, I saw his film. He has a lot of plays out the slot, but I've watched not only preseason, I've watched practice, and, you know, he can play on the outside. His speed, his ability to get vertical, he's actually more physical at the top than people probably give him credit for, which is a key component of winning on the outside receiver. Being as an outside receiver, winning physically, because you're going to get a lot more press. And so his ability just to continue to be hungry and be a sponge and ask all the questions, I'm going to continue to try to help him as much as.
And all right, now that one, yeah, I'm almost sure I haven't heard somebody that complimentary of Luke McCaffrey. I'm not gonna, and again, I like Luke McCaffrey. I like his talent. I believe in him. I gave you the raw relative athletic scores where I compared him to his brother Christian McCaffrey, and even when you filter it to both of them being running backs or both of them being wide receivers, Luke McCaffrey still has the higher relative athletic score, which means he's the better athlete through and through. No matter which position we're talking about, Luke McCaffrey is the better athlete than Christian McCaffrey at running back or receiver, whatever you want to do. So I believe believe in that talent. The talent is there. I just keep bringing up the excuse that, yes, he just switched to wide receiver a couple of years ago. He was a quarterback in college, switched to wide receiver recently, so there's still some raw aspects in his game at that point. And also in the preseason, nobody could cover him. He was always open. Always open. Josh Johnson and Sam Hartman just refused to look his way and throw him the ball. So fans out here are still thinking that he had a terrible preseason because the only catches he had were behind the line of scrimmage on screens. But this guy was consistently open down the field, especially in that Bengals game when like Luke McCaffrey was at least going against second stringers, not even necessarily third and fourth stringers. He was out there going against second stringers, maybe even a starter. He was getting wide open consistently. But at the same time, Jaylen Lane is different. I mean, listen to how Jayden Daniels talked about Jaylen Lane. He talked about how he continues to get better every day. He said, quote, "You can see the progression," unquote. And even beyond that, Cliff Kingsbury, of course, loves Jaylen Lane. I've brought this clip up a couple of times the last few days, but now I feel like I should just go ahead and show y'all the clip again. This is back in August 4th. Cliff Kingsbury just can't help himself being complimentary of Jaylen Lane. You can kind of tell even at a certain point, he's like, all right, let me hold it back. Let me dial it back a little bit before opposing defenses key in on the fact that this guy is going to be a bigger part of the offense than what we want them to know that he will be. You know, we're trying to keep him as like a secret weapon that worry about Terry, worry about Deebo, worry about Noah Brown. Do not pay attention to this 4th round draft pick here, even though Cliff Kingsbury clearly has big plans for him. Look at this clip right here, 29 seconds.
He's been very impressive. He's a coach's kid. Been around the game his entire life. And if you tell him how to do it one time, he usually nails it. And then if he makes a mistake, he'll come back and get it corrected. But super talented, very fast. Yeah, I've been really impressed. I don't think I could see some of those things at Virginia Tech. Watching the film and getting here in person and watching him run around and watching the coachability and the route tree that he can run, it's been really impressive.
But of course, Jaylen Lane isn't the only one that everybody's hyped about at the practices. You also have Jayden Daniels hype growing as well. Shouts out to Ethan Cadeau for this clip of Jayden Daniels going through these drills. The first clip is Ethan Cadeau, and then the second one is Scott Abraham showing you the same exact drill. It's just how accurate Jayden Daniels is doing it. But while you're looking at these clips, shouts out to Scott Abraham. He interviewed Commanders left tackle Laramie Tunsil, who's already a big believer in Jayden Daniels. Heck of a quote here. Laramie said, quote, "Bro, he's got it. There's no blowing smoke up his A-word. He's really got it," unquote. Basically saying, like, I know we hype him up, we talk about him a lot, but this isn't just a way to make him feel better about it. No, this is real. Like, there's not enough compliments for this guy at all. Like, we can't give him enough compliments. This guy is actually really the real deal. And then also shouts out to Ethan Cadeau for catching the quote of Jayden Daniels talking about this team in the receiver group. And he said, when asked about whatever we need to do to get ready for week 1, when he was asked about, if he'll stay longer in practice for extra reps to get with Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown and stuff like that, he was like, man, whatever we got to do. I know Noah Brown was out due to health concerns and an injury, and then Terry McLaurin was out for a contract situation, even though I've been secretly throwing to him in the bubble. I'm just throwing that extra quote in there. But he's like, man, whatever we got to do, if we got to practice longer than we're supposed to, if official practice ends and I got to stay after with these guys, we're going to do whatever we got to do to go out there and be ready by week 1 of the regular season against these New York Giants, so September 7th. And then also, I like the fact that Terry McLaurin stayed after practice. The second practice that he finally participated in, it was back on August 28th. He stayed after practice just to work on some hands. You love to see that, man. You really love to see that. And Jayden Daniels talked about the return of Terry McLaurin. He said, quote, "I told y'all he was coming back," unquote. He said it so serious, like he's for real told y'all, like, don't worry, he's coming back. We're good to go. He kept saying that throughout the entire time. And so I just thought that was a funny point to bring up, because Jayden Daniels was like, man, y'all out here worrying. I told y'all he was coming back. Don't even hurt yourselves on that. Don't stress it. Now, moving on, you also have Scott Abraham interviewing Marcus Mariota, and he asked him about getting his number 8 jersey back now that Brian Robinson got traded to the 49ers. And apparently, Marcus Mariota didn't even have to ask for it back. Marcus said, quote, it was really cool. They actually left it hanging in my locker, and I'm looking forward to wearing it, unquote. So apparently after Brian Robinson got traded to the 49ers and now number 8 was available, Marcus Mariota didn't even have to go to anybody in the front office, the coaching staff, to even request the number. By the time he got to practice, the Marcus Mariota number 8 jersey was just sitting there hanging up, waiting for him. That is incredible, man. I love this team and the culture that we have built here. Man, Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, and Josh Harris are doing this the right way. And then also shouts out to Scott Abraham, because he caught the fact that our offensive lines coach Bobby Johnson told him last week that he has lost 80 pounds since this time last season. That is a ridiculous transformation, man. And then Scott Abraham asked how he did it. He got basically a one-punch man routine answer back. He said he's been clean eating and 100 push-ups a day. Come on, man. No, bro. Not the one punch man answer, bro. No. There's got to be more to that, bro. No, you're lying. But congratulations to Bobby Johnson. That is incredible. I wanted to make sure I threw that in there. Also, another kind of non-football related thing, John Com updated us on the fact that cornerbacks Mike Samuel and Jonathan Jones were excused from the August 28th practice for a good reason. Babies on the way, both of them. Remember last year, it was 2 kickers who were in the same situation and had their kids born on the same day as well. Now you have 2 Commanders corners, 2 top 4 corners that will actually play a lot on Sundays, happen to be having both of their babies on the same day as well. So same birthdays and all of that. That's really cool, man. So I just wanted to give y'all all of that, good stuff at the end. The Marcus Mariota number 8 jersey waiting on him. Your offensive lines coach somehow lost 80 pounds in just 1 year, doing 100 push-ups a day to one punch man routine, and then Mike Samuel and Jonathan Jones having a baby on the same day and being excused from practice to go, attend to that as well. Shouts out to Dan Quinn and the coaching staff and the front office for allowing those guys to go attend and see their babies being born and all of that stuff. It's great stuff, man. I'm telling you, the culture of this team, alive and thriving. Hey, remember Bruce Allen? Coach is good, man. Coach is damn good. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. If you made it this far in this video, really appreciate you, because this isn't necessarily any like breaking news type of video. So not only did you click on this video, but you watched it all the way through. I salute you and appreciate you just straight off that strength. So really appreciate that. And of course, man, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. How you feel about the scouts going to the Texas-Ohio State game, and how do you feel about that game? Like, watching that game, how do you feel about some of those players we talked about, especially Arch Manning not looking too good? Also, let me know how you feel about everything we discussed from the practice clips about Terry McLaurin working on a new skill set that's going to allow him to get more touchdowns. Let me know how you feel about how this team feels about Jaylen in comparison to a Luke McCaffrey. Let me know how you feel about Jayden Daniels throwing passes to Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin and them looking like they already have some great chemistry going. Of course, let me know how you feel about the culture of this team as well, the hype behind Jayden Daniels, everything we discussed in this video, of course. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.